Hello, you're watching New Vision TV News with me, Ruth Nasejer, broadcast from the New Vision newsroom. We'll take a look at the news around Uganda, around East Africa, around the world, and later in this bulletin, we'll take a look at our Daily Pal of Africa series, and then a special report. We start off with the news around Uganda. A national story is what we'll start with. President Museveni and the First Lady Janet Museveni have met a delegation of a symposium of Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar, who are part of the newly elected leadership headed by Bishop Sithembele Anthony Sipoka of Butata in South Africa, who is the new first vice president of SECAM. The meeting took place today at State House Entebbe. The delegation is part of more than 200 bishops from Africa and Madagascar who have been in Uganda for over a week attending the 18th plenary of SECAM and marking the Golden Jubilee celebration since SECAM was launched at Lubaga Cathedral in 1869 by Pope Paul VI. The visitors to State House thanked President Museveni for supporting them to ensure a successful deliberation. President Museveni informed the delegation that it was important for the church to teach a uniform message, urging people to get out of poverty.
Praise God, hallelujah, praise God.
The Judicial Service Commission has established an online complaints management system which the public will in future use to register their complaints against alleged errant judicial officers. The chairperson of JSC Disciplinary Committee, Nora Matovu-Winyi, says in 2017, with over 700 complaints in its registry against various judicial officers, it became apparent that action had to be taken to fast track the handling of complaints filed with the Commission. She revealed that in a bid to foster good performance and discipline of judicial officers, JSC embraced the system. She further revealed that the judicial system that has just been demonstrated to the members of the Commission is currently being used by technical staff and will enable staff to view the progress on different complaints in real time, generate useful statistics that inform the Commission of work in progress, and also ensure guided allocation of files for carrying out investigations and prosecution of errant judicial officers. Moving on to Entebbe, plans by Uganda Airlines to take to the skies before the end of next month have received a boost after it got issued by an air operator certificate earlier today. An air operator certificate is the approval granted by a country's aviation authority to an aircraft operator to allow it to use aircraft for commercial purposes. This requires the operator to have personnel, assets, and systems in place to ensure the safety of its employees and the general public. The certificate will list the aircraft type and registration to be used for what purposes and in what area, specific airports or geographic region. In April, Uganda received 2 Bombardier planes as part of the fleet that is expected to form the core of efforts to revive the national carrier. Another 2 Airbuses are expected to be delivered within the next 2 months. At the ceremony to receive the 2 planes, President Museveni assured the country that the national carrier will not collapse once again. Let's move on to Jinja district, where laborers who work in privately owned sugarcane plantations across the Busoga region are grappling with the challenge of reduced wages per acre, with the plantation owners saying the cane prices dropped. The survey carried out by the New Vision last week in Kamuli and Jinja districts established that since cane prices dropped from 145,000 to 125,000 per ton, even the common men the grassroots are suffering. Payments have been reduced from 40,000 shillings to 30,000 shillings per acre. Justin Nangobi, 30 years, and Prosine Koba, 25 years, who work in Buyende Bamala Kulabako Farmers Group in Buyende Sub-County Jinja District, were overwhelmed when the paymaster paid them 30,000 shillings per acre as opposed to 40,000 shillings they are used to get. Now, the chairperson of Busoga Sugarcane Outgrowers Association, Issa Buduga, say they have on several occasions made the buyers to sort out the matter, but all in vain. Outgrowers have previously held coordinated demonstrations across the region, boycotting sugarcane deliveries to factories with intent to mount pressure on better prices, which as whole hit a dead end. Moving on to Obonge District, residents of Palorinya Sub-County who were opposed to belonging to Obonge District on Saturday attacked their members of parliament, Caps Hassan Fungaro. Some leaders want the sub-county to be transferred to Moyo District. Obonge District was carved out of Moyo and is among the 7 districts in Uganda that became operational this financial year. The locals on Saturday attacked MP Fungaro and to their rage to burning houses and destroying plastic chairs the MP had donated to a group in the community. The locals also smashed and destroyed windscreens of a tipper lorry and injured several other people. Julius Gobolo, the regional police commander in charge of Northwest Nile, confirmed the arrest of 3 people who are still in police custody. A report coming in from Mbara District, Mbara University of Science and Technology. Vice-Chancellor Professor Celestino Obua has been reappointed for another 5-year term. His reappointment was announced and welcomed during the 77th University Council meeting held on Friday. Master's Chancellor Professor Charles L.M. Olonyi and University Council Chairperson Dr. Warren Namara attended the council meeting and welcomed Obua's reappointment. The same council appreciated the university staff for having ended the strike and resumed duty. According to the document signed by the University Council Chairperson Dr. Warren Namara and Council Secretary Malkwaya K. Biarhanga, the 77th Council directed the chairperson of the council to be the spokesperson of the University Council. Professor Obua's reappointment came at a time when the university staff demanded council to speed up replacing him. Closing off the news around Uganda is a story from Ntoroko District. Residents have a reason to smile after the Ministry of Water and Environment commissioned a solar-powered water project in Buramule sub-county aimed at improving access to clean water. Since the early 90s, residents have been sharing water from River Semilik with domestic animals. While commissioning a solar-powered water project in Buramule sub-county, Timothy Kanyamanywa, the LC5 chairperson, said access to clean water has been a very big challenge in the area. He said the difficulties in accessing water treatment facilities also forces residents to drink the contaminated water, resulting in a range of waterborne diseases caused by polluted water. We now move on to news around the East African region. We start off from Kenya. Deputy President William Ruto has rubbished media reports that President Uhuru Kenyatta snubbed him on Saturday evening at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Ruto said he was nowhere near the airport on Saturday and called the reports fake news. He stated, "Fake news alert. I was nowhere near Jikir. I'm not surprised that some media houses and their owners are this desperate." To Samehetu, Ruto posted on his Twitter account. Senator Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen posted a similar tweet explaining where the DP was. Around 6:30 p.m., he left Kajiado for Nairobi. Meanwhile, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta jetted back at around 5 p.m. Now see how my colleague Gideon Moye has reported pettiness and desperation. We stay in Kenya. The war on corruption is intensifying. The Kiambu Governor, Ferdinand Maitutu, and his wife, Susan Wangari Ndugu, were this morning arraigned in court over alleged embezzlement of Kenya shillings 588 million from the county coffers. The governor and his wife spent a night in police custody. We move on to Tanzania. President John Pombe Magufuli said Tanzania will not be selling maize grains to Kenya as earlier announced, but as flour. This decision to ship in processed maize puts a spin in the maize politics in Kenya after the government opened a window to allow millers and traders to import 12.5 million bags to cover a shortfall. Closing off the news around East Africa is a story from Southeast Sudan. Southeast Sudan seeks to attract international investors to help develop its oil and gas sector during the upcoming third oil and gas conference in the country. The Petroleum Minister, Awol Daniel Chuang, said the young nation seeks investments to revive redundant projects in the oil and the energy sector, which failed to take off largely due to lack of finance and disruption caused by the more than 5 years of violent conflict which broke out in December 2013. Without an oil revenue, the country went down on its knees. Moving on to news around the world, we start from Nigeria, where residents of Borno region are still in shock after at least 65 people were killed in an attack by suspect Islamists. The dead were part of a group returning from a funeral in northeastern Borno region, where they were attacked on Sunday in one of the deadliest attacks on civilians this year. Several residents who tried to pursue the attackers were injured. This means the death toll may rise. No one has claimed responsibility, but Boko Haram group and rival Islamic State in West Africa have often carried out attacks in the area. President Muhammadu Buhari condemned the attack and directed the military to hunt down the perpetrators, a statement from the presidential office said. Still in Nigeria, the government has banned a Shita group after a spat of deadly clashes at protests in the capital. Tensions between the authorities and the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, IMN, remains high as demonstrations in Abuja to free pro-Iranian leader Ibrahim Zaki have descended into violence. At least 6 protesters were killed on Monday during the latest clashes. In Sudan, talks to resolve remaining issues between Sudanese protesters and ruling generals are set to resume Tuesday, a mediator and a protest leader said, as cause demonstrated in Khartoum to demand an impartial probe into a deadly June raid on a sit-in. The two sides have already signed a power-sharing deal that aims to form a joint civilian military ruling body, which in turn would install civilian rule. Moving on to the United States, search for a second suspect in the Sunday shooting in California is on. In the Sunday shooting, 3 people were killed and at least 15 others injured during a major food festival. Scott Smither, police chief of the city of Gilroy, said officers confronted and shot dead the suspect in less than a minute, 30 miles southeast of San Jose. Police said it was still an active crime scene at the site of the 3-day Gilroy Garlic Festival, one of the largest food festivals in the country. Smither said a search for a possible second suspect was going on. Let's close off the news around the world from China. Today, China Daily reported the completion of construction of Beijing Daxing International Airport. The paper said, when the mega airport begins operation on September 30th, it will be the world's largest single-terminal airport at 700,000 square meters, the size of 98 soccer fields. The 80 billion yuan, which is $11.7 billion facility, which is 46 kilometers south of downtown Beijing, will serve as a second international airport for the capital. According to China Daily, it is designed to relieve the pressure of rising demand for air travel on Capital International Airport in northeastern Beijing. With 7 runways planned to include one of the military use, the new airport will ultimately handle more than 100 million passengers a year, matching Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport in the United States. Jackson Atlanta is currently the world's busiest, receiving more than 100 million passengers per year, but across 2 terminals. That is it for the news around the world. We now take a short break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at the news in business.